Tom Vassell.
And I'm Melody.
And today we're taking a look at a new version of an old game. Metro came out over a decade ago, and Queen has redone this game about making trains that connect to each other in the absolute worst possible way. I mean, would you want to ride these?
No.
I guess it was a roller coaster. Whee! But this is a game where you're connecting tiles and the trains are going in all crazy directions, and you want to make yours the longest. Here it is. So here's the board of the game. In the middle of the board, you're going to have these stations that are placed. You know, these stations are printed on the board, and there's stations on the outside of the board. And you'll follow in the book, it will show you which stations your color starts at based on number of players. So we have this set up for a 6-player game. So we'll show you at which station numbers all the different colors go. But if you're playing like just 2 players, one person goes to the odd, the other person goes to the evens, and so on and so forth. So after players have done that, they put their trains on the board. Each player is going to have a hand of, it's going to have a tile. And you're going to place this tile on the board. Now there's an arrow on the tile, and that arrow is going to be placed in the same direction as the arrow on the board. If you don't like the tile that you have, you can draw a new tile, but you have to place the new tile that you draw. Now when you're placing these tiles, they have to be next to a train or another tile, and you cannot make it so that a train immediately comes back into their own station. So this is a legitimate thing here that I've done so far. You can see the balloon train is coming around like that, and as the game goes by, there's the blue train some more. Now the blue train is going up and around like that. If this tile is here, going up like that. And this tile here, now it's coming around and over. This tile makes it come up again. And I'm just putting these tiles down randomly, but as time goes by, you're going to be filling things in. So if you look at this blue train, it goes around like that. As soon as someone plays a tile, that finishes a train. It doesn't have to be your own train. It could be anybody's train. Like I said, the only thing you can't do is these tiles are actually illegally placed. You can't place it so that you can't come right back to the station right next to you. No big deal. I just put them here to show you the blue train for now, though. So the blue train would score points then. It would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And since it connected to a station in the middle, it'd be double, 22 points. If it connects to an outside station, it would only have been 11 points. Now again, you can't place these like this, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to make everyone else's routes as short as you can and make your routes as long as you can. Once you're done, you pull this train off to show that it's scored, and every time you place a tile, if it causes any scoring, you basically do that. The game ends as soon as all the lines have been scored, and whoever has the most points is the winner. Now that's the basic game. You can play a variant where you can not worry about matching arrows and orient them any way you want. You can also play where there's no stations in the middle and you just put some tiles here to show that the trains just go straight through the middle. You can play where you are betting on which colors are going to do well. A share system, if you will, where you will be taking these cards here that are going to give you percentages of the different companies, and they'll score at the end of the game. Or you can play where you don't own a color at all, and instead each person has a station, and you're trying to get a train to that station the longest route possible. And players take these tokens, and they secretly own some of the stations on the board and get points that way. So there's just different variants, but essentially the games play the very same way, where you're trying to connect and make your routes long and everyone else's short. Okay, so in Metro, now I played this way back in the day. You did not. So what'd you think of this whole connecting tiles out?
I thought it was really fun. For me, when we played the arrow thing, like how you have to put the arrows.
Yes, you prefer that way?
Yeah, because it keeps it from trying to turn it this way, turn it that way, turn it this way. Will it fit? No, and especially if there's like only at the beginning of the game, it'll be like, oh, this is taking too long. But I thought it was really fun. I like, whenever I did finish a track, I like getting like the train and like, okay, here I'm looping through this area and I'm looping through it again to get more points. I just thought it was fun. It was really simple too, but I don't know.
Yeah, the thing here is the game itself has a very simple concept to it. And I agree with Melody, because my first reaction was like, I don't want to follow these arrows. I want to put the tile any way I want, which will make the game more strategic and you can play it that way. But it's also going to double the length of the game. Metro's supposed to be a really easy game. And it kind of is, because you put out a tile, nothing happens. You put out a tile, and after a while, like, someone's train gets finished. And then a few more tiles, someone's train gets finished. And then about 2/3 through the game, you're putting out a tile and you finish 4. Suddenly a whole bunch of things get finished. Yeah. And sometimes you're concentrating so much on making this one long track that you don't realize your other trains have all finished for really short tracks. It's not a heavy game, but it's just kind of a light put out that you're just having a good time, I think.
Yeah, and if someone like just passed by like the table and looked at it like while it was near finished, it would be like just looking at it without actually paying attention to the tracks. It's just like, that's crazy to look at.
Now, it's not the only game in this genre. There's a very popular game called Suro, which does the same thing. I think I like Metro because it has a little bit more meat to it than Suro. Suro is too fast for me. Metro is a nice weight game. It says 30 minutes in a box. It's pretty much exactly accurate as you're just connecting all the things where they're supposed to go. Melody did not play any of the variants. I've tried out a few of them, and they're okay, right? Having this stock market, that's a waste of time. It adds too much complexity to a simple game. But the not knowing who owns each one, that's more interesting, except you're constantly looking like, which one do I have here again? So this is one of those cases where I think just the basic game works well enough. The quality of the tiles is fine. The idea of, hey, do you want to play this tile or do you want to draw one? But if you draw one, you're stuck playing that one.
Yeah.
But even that's not too horrible because you have a lot of places to put the tile.
The annoying thing is when you want to get a new tile and then you get the exact same tile.
I don't know about that. That never happened to me.
It happened to me like 3 times.
Well, maybe you just need to get better at the game. A better player would not have drawn those tiles. So I think this game has actually held up pretty well. There's a lot of new modern games out. I think Metro sits nicely in the mix here. What are your final thoughts on it?
It seems that old train games seem to stay alive.
Old train games stay alive. They don't fade away, or something like that. Alrighty, well that's Metro. Certainly, yes, it's an older game, but it's certainly one that you should check out and try out. I'm Tom Vassell.
And I'm Melody.
And you've been watching Double Trouble.
Boom!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.